Hi everybody and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion, the Garage. Peter Clayton, as always, behind the camera with his comments and his genius in the photographic world and the music world, of course. They love your music, Pete.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
I'm glad too. And it's going all over the world, which is even more interesting. So anyway, welcome along to the Court of Public Opinion. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll be around the dining room table with guests and your phone calls if you want to ring us up. Have your say about whatever it is that is moving you to ring. The only problem, of course, with that is we've only got one line coming in. So if I'm already talking on it, it just might sort of sound as if I'm busy. I'm not busy, I'm waiting for you. But the trouble is I don't have a switchboard and I can't sort of stack the calls and take them in sequence. You've just got to wait till I'm talking or doing something else and there's no telephone activity. Ring! Seize the moment. From anywhere in the world. And we do get calls from all over the world. The task force charged with implementing the recommendations of the Aged Care Royal Commission of some 3 years ago, I think, are calling for wealthy people to pay more for their aged care. They say that the government already contributes 75% of the cost of people in residential care and 95% for people staying at home and getting home service. And that won't change. Although with this government, when they say it won't change or trust me, I don't think we can. But anyway, what they're saying on the surface sounds quite reasonable to me, that wealthy, elderly people do more to look after themselves, as indeed they always have. I don't think you'd get an argument with that. It's perfectly reasonable, but after the Royal Commission, it became more expensive to run aged care facilities because they came down with some sensible stuff: better food, more and better trained staff, registered nurses 24/7. All good improvements on what was a pretty bad situation. But many homes have, since that time, closed. And people have left the industry. And of course it should never be an industry. It should be a calling. Anyway, the government has realised that it's costing a lot more per patient these days. I guess aged care will be means tested, just to find out who's in there who can be more self-sufficient. Funny though, no means testing of the NDIS. I mean, you can be a billionaire and the NDIS is all free. Well, of course, nothing is free. Someone has to pay. Do I hear you say double standard? I agree. I think of child care when I talk about aged care. Child care. The government keeps putting more and more money in, mind you they don't, we do, subsidising each child in childcare. And the fees increase by a similar amount of money that the government puts in. Wherever you look, you see a government ditching the good in pursuit of the perfect. Now, they mean well, but they just don't get it. They're not business people. They don't understand. They're not very savvy. The Prime Minister continues his love affair with Aboriginal Australia. God bless you, sir. He's come up with an announcement the last couple of days that the taxpayer will build 2,700 homes for Aboriginals in regional areas at a cost of $4 billion. This is over a period of 10 years. This will be in addition to the $40 billion a year that is already provided this new building program is to reduce overcrowding. Well, overcrowding, right. I was always told that it was cultural for Indigenous people to live many people to a house. It's also a fact that many remote families simply don't like what we have already built. And the government can't deny that. In the last 10 years, some 600 houses have been built in outback Australia for Aboriginal people. I'm told that they don't like or want suburban 3-bedroom homes. And that's their right. Most of these homes are destroyed, vandalised, certainly not maintained. I think Albanese is just simply virtue signalling at our expense, like the Voice referendum for $400 million. Now, if the Prime Minister was doing his job, he would order an audit of the houses already built. It wouldn't hurt to check, would it? Why would you throw good money after bad? I don't think you've even consulted Aboriginal people as to what they want. This is nuts. But I don't expect anything better from this government. I really don't. Some progress with that story I brought you, the one about Tony Burke taking a 4-day trip to the United States at a cost to the taxpayer of $60,000. And what I was telling you about yesterday, the Stephen Jones Commonwealth car bill for $53,000. Well, Jackie Lambie, who is a good stirrer, has demanded an audit of such things. Good for you. But as I said to you, it seems to be within the rules. This excess self-indulgence is within the rules. Now, an audit won't help with that, Jackie. We need a few respectable politicians to stand up and say, on behalf of the taxpayer, enough is enough. Change the rules. It's not the pigs, it's the trough. Let's get rid of the trough. But maybe we could get rid of both. It's worth a try, isn't it? I reckon. Chris Bowen was on the south coast of Victoria late last week near Port Macdonald in South Australia. It's a beautiful little fishing town, Port Macdonald. They'll be glad to hear that this, or his, modified wind turbine plan will not impact on their town and their industry. Others not quite so lucky. This guy, Chris Bowen, is a dangerous zealot. It must be that he doesn't understand that Australia's contribution to greenhouse gases is nothing. Nothing. And yet he's disrupting the life of millions of people for no purpose whatsoever, and at huge public expense. Again, I say, what is the problem this idiot is trying to fix? 1.3% of emissions, while we export our coal to China and India, where they can burn it with gay abandon, and these are, between them, probably the biggest polluters on the planet. Hypocrites and fools. Chris Bowen says that his motorcar standards, efficiency standards, will save $1,800 a year on petrol. How, Mr. Bowen? Please explain. How? I don't believe you. And I don't believe you can explain. I'm told that Muftis and imams and senior Muslim clerics are lobbying various jurisdictions to lift the ban on female genital mutilation. This is there's no way to be delicate with it, it's the grotesque cultural practice of removing the clitoris on young girls, quite different from male circumcision. FMG, as it's called, is not a medical procedure. It's a religious or cultural practice, the sole purpose of which is to destroy any pleasure a woman may experience from sex. I don't know why this is such a big issue in Islam, but I have heard it said by Muslims, women have no pleasure or rights. And you only have to see some of the stuff out of Afghanistan or Pakistan to understand what I'm saying. To me, it defies belief that this is tolerated in any country in the world. But there are backward, primitive, cultural places where such things are practiced. But to allow this into any educated, enlightened, civilized country is obscene. Now, it's a sensational story, but no demonstrations or even comment apart from here in the Court of Public Opinion. Where are all those organisations around the world who defend the rights of women? The Human Rights Commission? The Ministers for Women, I think here in South Australia it's Katrina Hilliard. Katrina Hilliard, is it? Federally, it's Katie Gallagher. Never a word. What about the Greens? All strangely silent. Seems abuse, as long as it's cultural, is perfectly okay. I'm all for inclusion. But do you really want this kind of thing included in our culture? And if you don't think this is a problem, a big problem, the figure, I looked it up, you can too. 200 million girl children are mutilated like this every year worldwide. 200 million. Africa, Egypt, Arabia, the Middle East, Pakistan, parts of India, mostly Muslim countries, and yes, Australia, America, and the UK, and Europe. Now, this is a big deal. It really is. We are all entitled to believe what we want, or believe in what we want. But as I have said before, several times, many times, a religion or political party that requires me to leave my brain and my common sense at the door, let alone my heart, or to accept without question irrational dictates, I would show them the door. Things described as cultural should not be above scrutiny. FMG, female genital mutilation, underage or arranged marriages involving 13-year-old girls, honour killings, women forced, indeed directed to cover their bodies, their faces, their personalities, their sexuality. Why would a woman accept in a free country, well, I know you couldn't do it in Pakistan or Afghanistan, but in a free country, why would women accept the fact that...
Fear.
Fear.
They would fear their husbands, simple as that.
Oh, I just can't cope with it. A woman in a free country cannot drive a car or go out without a male chaperone? That's ridiculous. This is not freedom of... There's no freedom of thought allowed in this dogma. Why is a free democratic society allowing this? Human rights, women's everything? women's rights, legal rights, women's liberation, dozens of organisations, silent. Silent. Why? Why silent? Gee whiz. I don't know. I shouldn't get upset because there's really nothing I can do about it.
Worth getting upset about, that one.
Well, I'm pretty sure it is worth getting upset. I wouldn't mind going and having a drink at the Rising Sun, Pete.
Fair enough.
They are our sponsors, by the way. It's a lovely place, the Rising Sun. It's on Bridge Street at Kensington. Grant's been there. He's been the owner for a long time. And Jim Elder, of course, the wonderful art gallery. And Grant, they are our sponsors in the Court of Public Opinion, and they bring us not only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but also the live show on Friday. Two wonderful South Australian institutions. If you're visiting South Australia, it could be worth a wonderful trip if you're looking for a great lunch or a great dinner. It's the oldest roadhouse in the country, I would say. Well, 1845, yeah. 1845, not far from the city. It's heritage listed, handmade bricks, open fires. Not that you want open fires when the weather's doing what it's doing at the moment. But it is beautiful. Oozes charm and a very inviting atmosphere. Great value. Everything you could possibly want. Dinner is Monday through Saturday, and lunch Thursday through Sunday. I've been going there for 40 years or something. And no, I didn't go and sell Grant on the idea. Grant said to me, "Hey, listen, can I come on the program and can you promote me on the show?" And I said, "Yes, of course," which is exactly what I'm doing right now. So just think about it. The telephone number to ring for a booking, which is always a good idea, 8333 0721. 8333 0721. Make a booking. The Rising Sun, it's in Bridge Street, just off Kensington Road. It's a history lesson and a gourmet experience. How much time have we got, Pete?
Well,
none.
Couple of minutes.
Just let me say, yet again, last week the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs was, in a quivering voice, was telling us that the gap had not been fixed. The gap was still there. This is the gap between white Australia and black Australia. That's how they want to paint it. This is despite all the money, $40 billion, spent on 700,000 people. And not all of those people are Aboriginal. They claim Aboriginality. I don't know how many are really Aboriginals. But it's an interesting point. The politicians have no shame. Warren Mundine, whom I spoke to going back a few weeks on the Friday show, he is a very smart man. He says the vast majority of Aboriginal people are fine. This gap, this deprivation, it's all about 1% of Indigenous people. That's 1%. What's 1% of 700,000?
7,000.
7,000 people. So this gap is 7,000 people. The money they spent on the referendum, $400 million, spent on 7,000 people would have fixed the gap in one foul swoop. Now, these 7,000 people, according to Warren, 7,000 people, I don't know, I can't tell you I know that that number is right, I don't know. But for one reason or another, isolation, distance, choice, they don't have the medical science, the longevity, the schools, the universities, the convenience, the opportunity. But from their point of view, it's geographical and it's their choice. No one forces anyone to live anywhere. It has nothing to do with voice or money. We have an incompetent Minister for Indigenous Affairs obsessed with one aspect of her portfolio. Again, there must be a forensic examination of the entire taxpayer-funded Aboriginal industry. Otherwise, we have to stop the money. We have to find out where the money goes. What happens to the money? It's a reasonable question. Now, I've got... Oh, yeah, I know. The anniversaries and birthdays. Have you got a song for us?
Oh, look, I thought I might put one of mine in.
Put one of yours in.
Yeah, one I've just videoed.
No, that's an excellent choice. It's March the 14th. Oh, 1938. The patent for the first shopping cart is filed for, by its inventor, Sylvan Goldman, the owner of the Humpty Dumpty grocery store in Oklahoma City, this day, 1938. It was essentially a folding chair with wheels and two baskets attached. The carts were initially a flop, as shoppers were reluctant to use them. Men found them effeminate, and women thought that they were too much like a baby carriage. So he hired models to shop with them till the idea caught on. Sylvan, you're a smart guy. The birth of the shopping trolley. Wow. See, when you get a good idea, don't be put off by naysayers. Stick with it. Stick with it. The gold standard for currency is officially adopted, 1900. Pam Ayres, British poet. I love Pam. She used to come and see me in the studio over at 10th Street at 5DN and read me a poem. I think she wrote a poem about me once. And that I wasn't very flattering. Well, I never got a copy of it anyway. 1947, Pam Ayres was born. The first theatre was built for rear movie projecting in the United States, New York, 1931, rear screen projection. JFK's body was moved from a temporary grave to a permanent memorial, on this day in 1967. For the first time in 1995, we had 13 people in space. Stephen Hawking, British physicist, died. He was born in 1942. He wrote The Brief History of Time in 1988, considered the greatest theoretical physicist since Einstein. 2018 he died. George Eastman, American inventor, Kodak cameras and founder of the Eastman Kodak Company, shoots himself in the heart, kills himself at the age of 77. On this day in 1932. Yeah. I'll leave it there, I reckon. Thank you.
Jeremy, you had a joke. Have you changed your mind?
Oh! I did have a joke. Do you think I can do it?
I think you can do it.
All right. Okay. He made me do it.
Yeah, I'll take the blame.
All right, here we go. A cabbie picked up a nun. The cab driver stares at her. She asks him why he's staring. You know, haven't you ever seen a nun before? And he says, I've always had a fantasy to kiss a nun. She says, okay, I'll kiss you if you're single and Catholic. The cab driver says, both. I'm both single and a Catholic. The nun says, well, you pull into that alley over there. The nun then kisses him in a way that would make a hooker blush. Back in the cab, though, the driver starts crying. And he says, I lied. I lied. I'm married and I'm a Jew. The nun says, that's okay. My name is Kevin and I'm going to a Halloween party.
Yes, I like it.
I love it. I hope it didn't offend anyone. Anyway, you can't go through life worrying about offending people. Believe me. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux, Peter Clayton behind the camera. Here comes one of Peter's wonderful songs, and I look forward to being with you tomorrow. jeremycordeaux.com, 9 till 12 at the dining room table. We got guests, we got fun and games. I've taken to having a glass of red wine towards the end of the show, which always brightens things up. Anyway, see you tomorrow and enjoy the music. Goodbye for now.
It's a long way back home. It's a long way back from here. I've got to make it on my own, but I know my sweet love's waiting there. I'm gonna hold her in my arms, I'm gonna feel her all around me, and love her like there's no tomorrow. Her love is all I need. It's a long way back to love, from the place where I've been hiding, looking at the night sky up above. I know the sun will soon be rising. I'm gonna hold her in my arms, I'm gonna feel her all around me, and love her like there's no tomorrow. Her love is all I need. Running out of money, luck and time, but you know I'd beg, steal or borrow. I've got one thing on my mind, I'll be in her loving arms tomorrow. I'm gonna hold her in my arms, I'm gonna feel her all around me, and love her like there's no tomorrow. Her love is all I need. Her love is all I need.